Welcome, aspirants, to this focused explainer on a really crucial topic for your upcoming exams, the brand new UN Convention Against Cybercrime. Okay, let's dive right into this. First, just look at this number, $10.5 trillion. That's the projected annual cost of global cybercrime by 2025. I mean, it's a staggering figure that really highlights the massive scale of the problem we're all facing. For years, this has been the critical question for international law. Think about it. A scammer's in one country, the server's in another, and the victim is in a third. So who prosecutes? For a long time, there was just no clear answer. But now, the United Nations has a landmark one. So here's our game plan. We're going to follow the story of this treaty chronologically, breaking down everything you absolutely need to know for your exams, from how it was created to its core powers and what happens next. First up, let's really get to grips with the why behind this historic convention. Why was this treaty so urgently needed? Well, this pretty much lays out the whole threat. We're not just talking about attacks on big companies or governments. As you can see here, this is also about those sophisticated scams that trick families and steal people's life savings. It's that personal impact that made a unified global response not just a good idea, but an absolute necessity. So after years of really hard work, the international community finally came together to create a solid legal framework. Let's take a look at how that all happened. This timeline just perfectly illustrates what a long, multilateral process this was. Okay, for your exams, remember these key dates. A 5-year negotiation period, formal adoption in December 2024, and the grand opening for signatures in October 2025. And this right here, this quote, gets to the heart of it. The key concept for your exams is multilateralism. This treaty is a perfect example of countries working together to solve a shared, borderless problem, even when the global climate is pretty complicated. Okay, let's move on to the next major milestone. This is where we see how all that work builds into real momentum, the official signing ceremony. So how strong was that initial commitment? 65. That's the number of nations that signed the treaty right there at the opening ceremony in Hanoi. That's a really powerful start, sending a clear signal to the world. Okay, remember these details. These are all potential exam questions. The location, Hanoi, Vietnam. The key UN body co-organizing it, the UNODC. And the significance? Well, Vietnam's role in the global digital supply chain made it a very symbolic and fitting host for this event. All right, now for the core of our explainer, what does this treaty actually do? Let's break down its key functions. First off, the treaty criminalizes a whole range of these cyber-dependent offenses. Basically, these are crimes that literally couldn't exist without computers and the internet. This creates a universal legal standard, making sure that something like a ransomware attack is illegal everywhere, not just in some places. And you need to pay close attention to this. This is a truly unique and landmark feature of the convention. By specifically criminalizing the non-consensual sharing of intimate images, it gives the world a powerful new tool to protect victims of online abuse. It's a huge step forward. Now, to help you remember the treaty's core functions for your exam, use this simple mnemonic, CCEV. Just think of it as cybercriminals evade vainly. It connects directly to the 4 pillars: criminalization, cooperation, evidence sharing, and of course, victim protection. This powerful quote really underlines the core principle of collective security that drives this treaty. It perfectly explains why cooperation mechanisms, like that 24/7 network, are so vital. A weakness in one country's cyber defense is, in reality, a threat to every single one of us. So, signing the treaty is the first big step. It's a declaration of intent. But let's look at the process required to bring it into full legal force. What has to happen now? This is the crucial number you need to remember. 40. 40 states must formally ratify the convention for it to officially enter into force and become binding international law. This slide shows you the specific legal trigger. The key term here for your exams is ratification. See, signing a treaty is like making a promise, but ratification is when a country's own legislature, like its parliament, formally approves it and makes that promise legally binding as national law. And finally, let's consolidate everything into a clear, concise summary for your revision. Pay really close attention to the bolded terms here. This is the stuff you've got to know.
All right, these are the critical numbers and dates to memorize. The official name, the adoption in December 2024, the signing in Hanoi with 65 nations, that 40-state requirement for it to kick in, and of course, the staggering 10.5 trillion figure that started this whole thing.
But to truly understand this treaty, it's about connecting the what with the why. So remember that guiding principle of multilateralism, the key role of the UNODC, our CCCV action plan, and that landmark offense protecting victims online. Ultimately, this treaty's goal is to tear down the digital borders that criminals have been hiding behind for way too long. And this final question is definitely something to think about. This treaty isn't just a static solution for today's problems. It's actually designed as a platform for future global cooperation in our constantly and rapidly evolving digital age. Thank you for joining this explainer.